Hello, and welcome to the 50-50 Football Podcast. Sometimes the loudest rivalries end in the quietest moment. A stadium emptying, a scoreline settling into history. Somewhere, probably everywhere, on a very big night. It would have been a total massacre. But it had to be just one team who lived somewhere between Wembley in 66 and Atlanta on a very good Wednesday night. This stopped being about football, and yet for 90 minutes, it was just wonderful, magnificent show of enthusiasm to get their country moving on and hailing the flag of the one country that has become almost like a celebrant of the biggest prize when it comes to football. That is Argentina. On a big night, they moved on to play in a tournament where they could become immortals of the world's biggest football event. England, on the other hand, have gone home crying. They are carrying it into the third place playoff where they are going to meet a team that actually struggled. They were stifled and they were suffocated against a team that shares football every single time at the age of 9. It's Argentina and Spain. The finalissima was postponed. It was virtually cancelled, but now it's found a way to get back to us. Lionel Messi, Lamine Yamal will go toe-to-toe on Sunday. But before that, it was just the priceless moment of Argentina rewriting the script almost every now and then. England wanted to rip the script, but Argentina tore it into pieces in just a little over 15 minutes. And that is why the price of rivalries, like what happens between Argentina and England, becomes something marvelous anyone can never shield. Somebody always has to lose their unlosable game, and England have lost it. France have also been humbled. Kylian Mbappe, Jude Bellingham would have to settle for their Real Madrid friendship on Saturday. But on Sunday, it is the biggest football prize for a player rising into immortality and a player who is steadily rising into his shoes in Barcelona, but on a different level in Spain. My name is Calvin Osu, and together with my friend Kwaku Safo Didi, you can call him Mangana Nanasari, and joined by our very good friend Salasi. Yes, it's going to be a very, very wonderful time to discuss what has happened at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The final square has ended, and we are going to see the final two. The finalissima, which we always wanted, has turned up to be the 2026 FIFA World Cup Final. Get your seatbelts on because we are going to delve into a lot more. People are going to rip people apart. Some are going to cry. We are going to leave it 50-50 here on your favorite podcast.
Poetic introduction again from Kelvin. Poetic intro.
Hi, guys.
Mangana, I've been trying to reach you for the past several minutes.
Mangana, how are you?
Oh, what's going on?
Charlie, your voice is too down. Your voice is too down. Charlie, you make door. You make door. Why, also?
Oh,
what's up?
Monday hung.
Things don't fall like that, eh?
Monday hung.
Yeah, you the hung.
Mangana.
Charlie, a combedo.
Hanga day inside.
Hanga day inside. Salasi, thanks for joining us.
Three lions lost.
Hope you're
I
good.
think you still muted me.
Salasi, we can hear you. Like, surprisingly,
we can hear you. So
you.
don't worry. Yeah,
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I think you,
Welcome.
we
Hope
can
you're
hear
doing
you.
good.
I don't know. My
I'm
mute
good,
didn't
I'm
work
good.
for you.
I'm just a bit disappointed.
I know.
I'm
I
just
heard
a
your
bit
voice
disappointed.
note. He said Bellingham versus Messi.
Yeah, cool. Before anyone else comes in, or you want to start? Would you want to start for us? Did he?
I'll start with France. Let me do France, Spain, and then, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. So,
Yeah, we can hear you.
oh no, I think I'll be so unfair to Mangana. Mangana, the icing on the cake today. We're expecting Thomas Tuchel after Gareth
Awesome.
Southgate was sacked. Unfortunately, it couldn't happen. Let's hear from you first. What happened? The capitulation, or England is also an African side.
I mean, Gareth Southgate coached the first 65 minutes as well as anyone would coach.
Gareth or Thomas Tuchel?
Thomas Tuchel, yeah, coached the first
Charlie
65
Mangana, are
minutes
you okay?
as well as he could coach the team he had.
Mangan, are you
He's not,
okay?
oh, he's not.
Unfortunately, the last 25 minutes of the game, he decided to forget everything that he knows in football and revert to something that is archaic in the sense that 25 minutes facing a team like Argentina with the world best player in there, with all the attacking talent they have, and you choose to bring on so many defenders and try and defend for the last 25 minutes, you're essentially putting yourself on the chopping block for them, because the best players, you can't do that against. You can do that against teams that do not necessarily have the wealth in attacking talent or the grit that Argentina have essentially come back from what do you call it, losing games against Egypt and having to come back from behind to win a lot of their games, and you decide to revert to something like that. It's on. For me, I think he dropped the ball in the last 25 minutes. I was shocked when I saw the players that were coming on as substitutes. I was like, what is he trying to do here? And at the point, he had like 6 defenders on there. And I was like, look, you can have as many defenders as you want in a box. With the right delivery in the right area, the best attacking players will find a way to connect with the ball. So you can't necessarily defend like that for 25 minutes against the best teams. And it showed. And they lost it from a position of victory. They just essentially did the wrong changes, put themselves in the position where they were playing on the back foot and defending on the last line for 25 minutes, and they couldn't do it. And it's unfortunate because this was their best route to the final. And I think they had a good enough squad in terms of how galvanized they were, the chemistry and all that they've had, that they could have done something. And they just allowed themselves to lose the game. And it's solely a Tuchel issue. I don't think any of the players can be blamed for this loss other than the manager.
I mean, listen, let me just take 2 minutes before Selassie comes in, because I know he's a big Three Lions fan, big Jude Bellingham fan. And Kelvin, you're muted. We can't even hear you. So let me just take 2 minutes. And listen, there's nothing wrong with defending. We've seen it time and over again where teams have defended and they've gotten results. In fact, if you want to go, can I finish, sir? Thank you.
You can finish, but like just
Can
before
I
you finish, there are ways to defend. No one is saying you can't defend.
Can I finish?
Mangala,
I actually allowed you to finish your point. Can I finish?
So we have given him 2 minutes. Let him finish.
For me, there's nothing wrong with defending, but I think it's the way and manner in which he did it. England stopped playing after the 55th minute, and guess what happened in the 55th minute? In the 55th minute, they scored a goal. And right after that, they stopped playing. And if you look at the average possession from the 55th minute to the 100th minute when the game ended, it was about 12%, 12% of possession to England and 88 possession to Argentina. Right. And so they literally stopped playing. You realize that before they went on to the second hydration break, which would lead us into the fourth quarter of the game, England had their backs against the wall. Remember, the goalkeeper, Pickford, made a stupendous save on the line, right before the hydration break. So they had dropped the line, they had literally stopped playing the ball, and they had retreated, which was wrong. And then he went on to make certain changes, which to me, I was trying to really understand, okay, what's the whole goal of this change? Do you really believe that for the next 35 minutes? And at the end of the day, they played 45 minutes after the England goal because they had 9 minutes of extra time and then extra time. But for the next 45 minutes, I mean, what was his plan? In case there's a counter-attack, what's his plan? In case, okay, you want to defend, fine, but what are you trying to do to pin others back? Because the attacking players he had were Jude Bellingham, he had Harry Kane, and then he had Morgan Rogers. None of them is a ball carrier. In case there's a counter-attack, none of them have that capacity to run with the ball for 50 yards to the opposition box to create chaos. It doesn't happen. He did something good in the second half, which is drop Harry Kane deep, which would free up the central defenders, and then they wouldn't know. I mean, when I say central defenders, I mean the Argentine centre backs. They wouldn't know who to occupy at that time, right? So drops them back, and that's what dropped Harry Kane back. Also because Rice and Anderson couldn't pick up players with their long balls. And that's what led to their goal. However, the way in which and manner in which he defended for the next 45 minutes after the goal, I just couldn't understand. I think, first of all, he defended too early. It shouldn't have happened right after the goal. I think he could have held on because they had a momentum on their side. They could have held on. They could have put more pressure on Argentina. I also think that this game was calling for someone like, and I don't even like Madueke, but someone like Rashford or Madueke, especially after Argentina started committing a lot more men forward. And Argentina didn't do anything special than they've been doing in the past. They didn't do that. Like, listen, we've said this on the spot. When Argentina are in trouble, they need a goal. They make substitutions that move Messi from the central attacking position to the inside right channel, where oftentimes he is not marked. So look at the 2 goals that they scored. Messi had basically the entire, inside right channel to himself.
Freedom.
Nobody marking. Freedom. He had freedom. And like Mangana said, if you have Messi on the ball, he can pick out someone in the box, even if you had 10 people in the box. John Stones was completely knackered. His head was gone. He had one person to mark and he lost the person, couldn't mark him. And he came right after he had that head injury, which I thought he had to be substituted at that point. And he came on and he lost his marker for the header. So Tuchel has himself to be blamed. I think I maximized my 2 minutes and optimized it from 2 to about 6.
Salasi.
Sarah.
Salasi.
Yeah. First of all, I'd just like to talk about congratulations to the referee. When the game started, congratulations to the referee, because when the game started, the foul started coming in, the tackles left, right, center. I thought he would lose control of the game and maybe we'll start having another conversation about refereeing decision going one way or the other. But kudos to the referee. He did a very good job, as did the referee for the Spain game, Spain versus France game. It was a game in which you can't go back and talk about the referee so much because they are not the center of attention. Now, looking at Thomas Tuchel, I think that he panicked. Basically, that's what happened. He panicked. He couldn't believe the position he found himself in, 1-0 up against Argentina. But you would have thought that someone as experienced as him would have seen what Argentina did versus Egypt, they did versus Switzerland. In the final quarters, we now have quarters in football. In the final quarter after the hydration break, that is when they turn up a gear. They did it in all the knockout games. They did it versus Cabo Verde, they did it versus Egypt, they did it versus, even recently versus Switzerland. So you have to be switched on even more than before. Now to the substitutions and the defensive shape. As Didier said, I don't have a problem with defending, but there's always a way to defend where you don't have to lose the core of what you're already doing. You were playing toe-to-toe with Argentina. You were controlling the midfield. Morgan Rogers, Elliot Anderson, they were winning the 50-50 balls. And Enzo Fernandez were struggling in midfield, basically, with those guys. And you got a goal. You have a goal. They are the ones who are now under pressure. What you need to do is to continue doing most of what you were doing. Spain went ahead versus France yesterday. We saw how they handled it. Some would have said that, hey, why are you still passing and doing all your stuff? Defend. You give them the ball, then you hold on to what you have. That will give the impetus to them. And Messi was relentless. He kept on crossing, looking for someone, looking for an outlet. He will draw defenders towards him, and then someone will be free. And that's how I think Enzo scored. So it was quite shocking. And if you watched, I think, I don't know if any of you noticed it, when he was making those changes, Jude didn't look happy with those defensive changes that were happening. I think he panicked. He panicked. At a point, Dan Ben was a striker.
I noticed at some point when O'Reilly came, they were confused. Okay, what system are we playing now? Because we have O'Reilly on. Yeah, we have O'Reilly on, who's a left back. And then they also had Jet Spence, who was also at left back. So they were confused. Okay, who's moving where? And then he shouted, I think he started 5-4-1, and he moved into left side of midfield or something.
It's almost like they didn't know what to do next because the coach was going off script. That's what it looked like.
Yeah. And then there was no pressure on the ball.
Like 5 or 6 defenders. Then when they went behind, it's now they brought Rashford and Ivan Toney. Like, It was chaos.
Yeah, Selassie, I want to even ask a question because when I was watching the game and when it got to that point, I was like, even if you are going to make some changes, right? If you are going to make the changes you want to make, I understood the change for Konsa for James because we all know James is like
Konsa
glass.
played the whole game.
So yeah, he
No,
made a
Konsa did not
substitution
play
where
the
like
whole
so
game.
Konsa ended up.
Konsa played the whole game.
He came
Konsa was
on
the one
in
making the
second
long
half.
throws. Oh, sorry.
he
Sorry.
came
My
on
bad.
in-
My bad. He came on in the second half.
He came on.
I think
he
James
came
was
on for James.
James was injured.
He came on. Yeah, he came on for James, and that was fine.
Yes.
So when O'Reilly was coming, I was like, even if you are not a fan of certain players in your squad, and you've got O'Reilly is naturally a midfielder that is playing at left back. Drop him into the midfield, create more numbers so that you can put pressure on the board there, so that you are not sitting back.
So let's look at the changes. So let's look at the changes. What he did was he brought on Konsa for Anthony Gordon.
It was Konsa for Gordon, eh? It was after the goal,
Gordon, which meant he wanted.
He went to a back three. I remember that's when he went to a back three, and James went to wing back.
So you know why he went that, because Argentina had made the change, taking off Paredes and bringing on Nico Gonzalez, which meant they were going to attack the right hand side of England's defense. So James is struggling. What do I need? Let me bring Konsa on to come and drop in as the third center back, so that I would have enough support for James, so that when we are moving forward, James can just quickly, make a shift into midfield. Now, what that didn't work for them was Argentina now exploded after that substitution from England with 3 substitutions just when England made theirs. They brought on Nahuel. They brought on Rodrigo de Paul for Nahuel Molina, which means they have taken off the right back and brought on a winger. Then they brought on Gonzalo Montiel to become a wing back and took off Giuliano Simeone. So Rodrigo de Paul and then Montiel came to do a double up on the left-hand side where Jet Spence is. And then they brought
also
on
creating that
Nicolas
security for Messi, because Messi will now do his job.
Thank you. And then bring on Otamendi to replace Martinez, because Martinez was battling with pace and strength, the physical attributes of Bellingham, and then that is a Harry Kane. So
plus he was on the card as well.
Exactly, he came to overload England's right-hand side. England's left-hand side of defense. And Tuchel kept silent until Lautaro Martinez was introduced in the 81st minute to replace Tagliafico, which meant Argentina now had just 2 central defenders and 1 wing back in Montiel. You know the response from Tuchel. Let me bring on
another defender,
to replace
James.
And brought on O'Reilly to replace Declan Rice, which meant he was losing almost every bit of that central core he had.
And guess what led to the equalizer? There was no one to put pressure on it. There was no one to put pressure on Enzo Fernandez. He had the time of the day to pick his spot.
Exactly.
That was the
because
reason why
all the players were on the wide areas. So Kobe Mano was on the bench. He gives you control. He gives you that solidity. Or even if you don't want Kobe Mano, put Jude Bellingham, tell him now you are playing in that role, and then bring on someone like Oli Watkins to just leave him upfield, and Harry Kane would be in that midfield.
Like, Kelvin, you see, your substitution should also put fear in your opponent. And that's why I was calling for someone like Rashford. Because now that they are committing a lot of people, that's when you bring on like a Rashford. Okay, this guy's going to hit me on the break.
You know why?
Rashford will hit you on the break.
Very good.
But he will hit you on the break.
In hitting on the break,
he had Oli Watkins. Reaction. Look, why he made those changes.
Because that's all I'm thinking. You have Harry Kane who can pick up long balls.
Hold on.
Selassie has a reaction from...
Selassie was saying...
Tuchel said there were too many gaps. And Argentina were winning every single header. That is why he made a change to a back 5. That's what he's saying right now. That's the reaction.
So what was the root cause of the crosses?
Because there was no pressure in midfield to put pressure on those defenders.
And the left-hand side was exposed. So you need to stop that root cause. And the root cause was bringing on someone to come and help. And when O'Reilly even came on, he was with Spence in the same role. So
Instead
that
of
was why
instead of
they
him
couldn't
supposed
pick
to
up on
even putting
Messi.
him in midfield.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
me,
So
like I was saying,
they were on the same line and they got
for me, he should
confused.
have.
Messi just
Yeah.
got himself onto that,
Yeah.
checked himself onto the right hand side
For
and sent in
me,
that delivery, which
for me,
Dan
there
Ben
were
and the rest of the defense couldn't get.
for
to.
me there were two changes I think he should have made, which would have
Mhm.
served him well than what he did. Was to bring another person in midfield to make a midfield five, so that in the center of midfield now you have three players who can pressure the ball at all times.
Mhm.
And at least you have one there, regardless, even if you don't like Kobe, O'Reilly can do the same thing. He has energy, he can carry. So
No,
you
bring Kobe
have,
Menu. You need
and
someone
then
who can
and then
carry the ball.
and then for me, that is when I would have taken, because when I saw those Argentine changes, that's when I would have taken Hurricane off and brought Rashford to play the nine. The Rashford, you don't have to do a lot of defensive work. We'll just find you the channels. Just run the channels.
Asari. I will
Just
even
run
take
the
Hurricane
channels.
off. Do you know what I would have taken off? I'll take Morgan Rogers off. And I'll just keep Hurricane and Rashford. Hurricane will drop deep. He will always find Rashford. He's
Hurricane
amazing at
will
those long
drop deep
balls.
and allow someone else to go ahead of
Exactly.
him.
But
That's what
Rashford,
he was
he'll
doing
find
with
Rashford.
Bellingham throughout the tournament.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
the
He'll
main
find
point,
Rashford.
the main point
But
was
anyway.
he should have packed the midfield, which he didn't do, and that was what created more spaces for them to put in across. And he's the architect of his own downfall. I don't even know why he's explaining plenty right before.
So
He should have
Thomas
just
Tuchel
accept-
is telling us now that hindsight is 2020. He said, if it doesn't end up well, it's easy to say that my decisions were wrong. He's not
yes,
wrong.
and that's exactly what I was saying. That when he was even making the
No,
decisions, we
but
knew
in
it
the
was wrong.
moment,
We
we noticed it.
we
In
knew.
the moment,
That
we
is the
actually
thing. In
noticed.
the
I was
moment,
like,
we
we're
knew.
like, what the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm like,
But Kelvin, I think we've spent some time on England. We should do a quick one on the France-Spain game, and then
All
we
right.
can go into the final to preview
now
it.
I want to ask one simple question, especially
Yeah.
to Mangana and Selassie. I'll come back to
Mhm.
you on another. Mangana, just a minute. Do you think Thomas Tuchel should leave?
I don't think he should leave. For me, people calling for look, it's international football. He dropped the ball in a semi-final, but under what do you call it? Under the previous managers they've had, have you ever felt England to be any close? Even under this one, when they made the semi-final and final of the Euros, they didn't feel like a team that was like, oh, this team is, has that X factor or has that will to go beyond. Thomas Tuchel said, as much as he dropped the ball in the final, when adversity came from a lot of times, even with the smaller teams, he overcame them. I don't think Gareth Southgate's team had that aspect to them. So this is his first major tournament. He's dropped the ball fine. He has the Euros to come up. He has to win it. If he doesn't win the Euros, then he has to go. But if you change him now, I don't see how you are moving forward in any way, shape, or form.
This is tough. I think that maybe the reason why he came in was the World Cup. I remember very well when they hired him. His objective was to win the World Cup and nothing else. I think they have a tough decision to make. But if you ask me, I think he has to go. He
But they've
shows
already
at the
given
top.
him a new contract.
It doesn't matter. Contracts
Which
can be
is
broken.
signed.
There's always a contract that can. There's always a way. They have a way to break a contract and maybe you pay him off.
All right,
I think he
sure.
should leave.
Exactly.
He should leave. It's as simple as that. He panicked, make some crazy decisions that his players were even confused by because it looked like they didn't even discuss this. Some of them were confused.
Yeah.
Hurricane is now saying that it looked like after we went 1-0 up, we were defending, which at this level is not the best. Coupled with what
the players,
Jude Bellingham expressed, that Jude Bellingham expression, it shows that he was on the fly. He did this on the fly, and that hasn't cut
he
it
took
for
the
me.
whole team. In fact, he took both Argentina and England by surprise.
Yeah.
Well, Kwaku, now looking at this, I think we've said enough of England. But
Can I do like
why
1 minute
is it
just to buttress Sahara's point? I totally agree with
All right, okay.
Selassie. Like, I think Tuchel has to leave. From the beginning of the tournament till now, where they've played in the semi-final, we've struggled to see England's identity. I, for one, have struggled to see England's identity throughout the tournament. It's always been someone's brilliance. It's always been someone standing up and, really carrying the team. It's hard for me to see like the team actually go, like looking at the mechanics of how a team plays and like throughout a game. It's hard for me to see England functioning as a unit to get a victory. Every time it's been like Hurricane magic or Jude Bellingham's magic. And so I don't think he's been able to stamp his authority, and we haven't seen his imprint on the team. He had enough time to prepare for the tournament. And it's not as if England haven't been in the semi-final before. They've actually played the finals before. In fact, if you look at the last couple of tournaments that they've played in, they've done very, very well. Right? So they played the last final of the Euros and they lost narrowly to Spain. I think he has no business still remaining as the England boss. But switching to the French game, the France versus Spain game, I think it was an interesting match.
I just want to say something.
Right.
I think there's little credit given to Argentina for all what they do.
Oh yeah, Lionel Messi.
The kind of resilience they carry as a team.
Calvin, we call them a bunch of bandits.
Exactly. Nobody gave them Dog's chance to get to the final. That's fine because they were defending champions and the man who makes
sometimes I feel that they have nothing to lose. You've won it before. If you don't win it again, so go
no one cares.
And they have lots of characters with
attack them, hound them. So they don't have much to lose. They've won it before. If I don't win it again, you say that okay, I've won it already. That's why it's easier for them.
Selassie, did you hear what Julian Alvarez said the last game? Julian Alvarez said, and I'm quoting him verbatim, he said, we are winning it for Messi. We want to give Messi his second star. So you see that line, we'll come back to it with the Portuguese team.
And I say it's just brilliant from what we've seen. And credit to the coach too. Absolutely phenomenal management of the games right from the round of 16. From the Cabo Verde game throughout to the Egypt game to what they did against Switzerland and what they've done against England. Credit to him. Substitutions, game plan on point. When he thinks that Paredes is not playing well, he brings on Enzo Fernandez into central defensive midfield. Come and just orchestrate play from there. If he thinks Rodrigo de Paul is not starting properly, Giuliano Simeone come and do a job. After the job is done, he makes the changes. What he did this evening has given me lots of respect for him and Walter Samuel. No matter what anyone says about Lionel Messi urging this Argentine team on, putting all the creativity in, let's give credit to Lionel Scaloni. And if it was a novice before 2022, he's now a master of the greatest football tournament in the world. He knows what it takes. And let's not forget, he's not playing with players who are like top level at every single team.
Just look at Gonzalo
Montiel, look at Tagliafico, look at Paredes, look at Otamendi. Look at Alexandro Martinez from all his injuries. Look at Cristiano Romero. You see him at Tottenham.
Kelvin, I actually wanted us to, reserve this for the final. When we go into discuss the final, then we can talk about each team.
Okay, very well.
But I think that's a nice preview.
We roll into it. So Kwaku, start from there.
5 minutes. I'll do 5 minutes. I'll do 5 minutes on Spain, France quickly because we still need to touch on it. Kylian Mbappe almost made it 3 out of 3 finals. Remember, he won the final as an 18-year-old, went into the final again as a 22-year-old, and now that he's 27, was trying to make it his third final, 3 in 3. Probably Pele or someone of that sort. I think he's the one that did that. And unfortunately, he couldn't do that. And again, I think they lost the game from the bench. And I like to talk a little bit about pragmatism and what pragmatism is. And sometimes I like to go a bit academic and, basically read what pragmatic means or pragmatism means, right? So what does pragmatism mean? Because a lot of people oftentimes misconstrue pragmatism for being defensive. It tells you that it's basically dealing with things sensibly and realistically in a way. So 2 key words, sensibly and realistically, in a way that is based on practical rather than theoretical considerations. And I think it's very, very important that we take this into consideration, that pragmatism does not mean defensive. If that's what it means to you, good luck. But pragmatism doesn't mean defensive. And why do I say that? Yesterday, I was having a conversation and I was like, Spain were actually very pragmatic. They've been pragmatic actually since De La Fuente came into the side, and they were very pragmatic again against France. If you give me time, I can explain why. France, on the other hand, ditched their pragmatism, which was very strange. If you look at Didier Deschamps, since he took over the national team in 2016, he's been very, very pragmatic. Remember, he had a midfield of N'Golo Kante, Blaise Matuidi. He had Paul Pogba as well. Even after, Blaise Matuidi left, he brought in Aurelien Tchouameni. He had N'Golo Kante again, and then he had Paul Pogba. That was for the Euros in 2020, right?
Yeah.
And then even when we went also into the World Cup in 2022, he had Youssouf Fofana, he had Edouard Camavinga, he had lost Paul Pogba at that time, but he was still very, very pragmatic in his approach. In the final, remember, he had Rabiot, he had Aurelien Tchouameni, and then he had, I'm blanking out on one other name, but he's been very pragmatic in his approach, hasn't really gone this 4-2-4 system that he's been trying to play throughout the tournament. And if you look at the entire tournament, France have lacked a lot of control. And when I say control is not just about possession, but controlling this in terms of space as well. Controlling the spaces, controlling the threat of the opponent, controlling your own attack, and then controlling possession, right? So 4 different types of control here. And if you look at the 4, tenets of football, in terms of attacking and defensive transitions, being out of possession, also having possession, control matters at every stage of this. France lacked control everywhere on the pitch. And so you realize that when you look at France's attack and, blindly I ask you, what is their strength? So the attack is Olise, Kylian Mbappe. They played, Bradley Barcola, and then they had Ousmane Dembele. When even if you close your eyes, you realize that these attackers thrive well when they have space to hit you. That's when they thrive well. And so you look at the game Spain played yesterday, they barely moved their line extremely high. The few times, especially in the first half, when they moved their line high, they were caught on the break. And so you realize there was a 1v1 between Kylian Mbappe and Pau Kubasi. He beat Pau Kubasi, almost about to move on. And then, Aymeric Laporte and Rodri came in to block him. So a few times that, they moved up, they were caught in they were caught in their transition. Spain, on the other hand, were very balanced. You remember De La Fuente before the game he said, listen, we are confident, we've rehearsed certain scenarios. What did he say? We've rehearsed certain scenarios. That's being practical. That's being realistic. That's being sensible. He's seen the automatisms of the French team. He's seen how good they are when they have space to hurt you, when you leave them in 1v1 situations. And so ask yourself, how many times did you see 1v1 for Olise? How many times did you see 1v1 even for Pedro Porro and then Bradley Barcola? You barely see 1v1 because they will always, even Yamal was tracking back to defend. The first goal the French conceded, you ask yourself, why did Yamal have so much space to run into Luka Digne? Why didn't Barcola come with him? Also, why didn't Barcola head the ball away instead of trying to control and kick it out instead? You understand what I'm saying? The second goal, Pedro Porro literally walked away from Bradley Barcola and then the other midfielder, Aurelien Tchouameni, who was extremely poor on the day. The French wanted to go again with their swagger, their blistering attack, and basically attack, and hurt
They were
Spain.
stunted.
But they were stunted. They they lacked control in every aspect of the game. And unfortunately, when they got into the opposition half, they didn't have anyone to pick a final pass. Yeah. Remember before the tournament, we had a conversation and I talked about the importance of someone like Warren Zaïre. Because if you look at the profile of midfielders that the French took to the tournament, none of them is really a controller. Rabiot is not a controller. Rabiot is good in both boxes. He's a runner. He can do a good box-to-box job for you. But Warren Zaïre is actually a good positional midfielder who can pass, control, dictate. Tchouameni's best attribute is not to control the tempo of a game. Neither is Manu Kone's best attribute. Right? So, again, they have themselves. And even, he said it, Kylian Mbappe in his post-match interview, he said, at a point in time, we were pressing 2 against 3. And against a team like Spain, you can't do that. They had 2 midfielders. And then, so the 3 that he's talking about is Fabian Ruiz, Rodri, and Dani Olmo. But I'll add in Alex Baena as well. Because Alex Baena, he basically played as an auxiliary midfielder. Even Mikel Oyarzabal, he drops in so much.
You said 5 minutes, so.
He drops in so much. And so it's important that, people don't misconstrue pragmatism for being defensive, but it's also being realistic, being sensible, and being practical in your approach. Yeah. De La Fuentes, at the end of the day, the system won. He was realistic, he was practical, he was sensible, he had control, and they won on the day.
All right. Mangana, yeah, to you.
Yeah,
That game.
the
Spain
French,
beating France 2-0.
Spain. Yeah, I mean,
Ale England match
we've
in the
all
2-0 Kafra.
we've all
This is
known
not
we've
you.
all
This is not
known
you. Man, you lose
we've all
crowd,
known
see.
we've all known. Excuse me. We've all known what do you call it? Spain's
That's the
control
Apaso.
of a game to be pretty natural to any other team that played this tournament or any other team in the world. They are best at controlling the tempo of a game. So going into that game, I think France were a bit. I can't even say they were naive because they should have known. For as experienced as Didier Deschamps is, and for how long a lot of their players have played in Spain and have played against these players, they know how good Spain are on the ball. So little mistakes and the goals they conceded, individual mistakes like the ball Lucadine should have played. First thing they tell you is what do you call it? In goals football, they tell you is no bouncing. Standing in your
Yeah.
box, waiting for the ball to drop
Don't let
for
the
you to
ball
clear.
bounce.
Yeah, no bouncing. Like you
Don't let
don't
the
know
ball
who is
bounce.
around you, and you are waiting
Yeah.
for the ball to drop. That was his basically his mistake. Waiting for the ball to drop, thinking he had time. And all this one had to do was essentially just get there before him, and any touch on him would be considered a foul and a penalty.
Oh, and the penalty, yeah, that's true.
And it's games like this is the fine margins that win the game for you. Tactics, you may be what do you call it? You may be both teams may be matched, whether it is tactics and quality of players. You can be matched in those aspects. So it's little things like that, not switching off, making sure that you are doing the basic things correctly. And when I saw that Lucadinha looking at the ball coming out, and I saw Lamine Yamal come, I was like, yeah, they've lost the game because that deflated
That
them
was
in
when
some
they
way,
lost.
shape, or form. And Spain decided that we are not going to let you have the ball. And you can't take the ball off the Spanish players. Like, they are all very good in possession. So you already starting on the back foot by letting Spain score early. And now you have to press them and take the ball off them. You can't do it. It doesn't matter how on point your tactics are, how on point your system is. The moment you decide to go toe to toe with Spain in terms of control, you are not going to win. And you don't have to give the opportunity for Spain to get easy goals or have easy opportunities to score. And that's how France lost the game. They lost it by individual mistakes, and they should have been switched on. And it was too early. Like, that first goal was like, when I saw the play, I was like, yeah, it's done. It's done. It was sad to see.
Salazi,
Yeah. Can you hear me?
anything on that France game? Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. So I think, as he said, the penalty was like the defining moment. And after the penalty, Spain never got into gear. I noticed that the passes were not going. Olise's passes, he'll pull one forward, they'll be blocked. Another one, he'll try again, will be blocked. Then Bele as well was struggling to dribble. They were struggling to put
Nothing
it
was coming
together.
off.
Yeah, nothing was coming off. That cohesive unit. And they got frustrated. In midfield as well, Rabiot was not at his best. He got a yellow card. Then he was changed in the second half. It was just not working. And some would say that maybe they were not lucky on the day. Spain were doing a job. De La Fuente studied this French team and knew what to do. We saw another magical performance from Rodri and Fabian Ruiz. Those two guys, unsung heroes. I was just watching Rodri. He mops up. It's almost like these guys, if you don't watch them, you will not understand the kind of job they do on the pitch. Because it's not on a statistical board that we usually look at. You have to watch it. It's not an assist. It's not a goal. It's not an offensive pass. It's not that. It is seeing where the danger is, stopping it, and then moving the ball forward, finding a teammate. It has to be. So you have to watch it, basically.
Yeah.
Anything
you
I
have to
say
watch
will
them
not help
on
you
and off
understand
the
it better.
ball. Yeah, you have to watch them on and off the ball.
Exactly. What they do is so important to Spain and what they want to do on the pitch. And I think that those two guys won that midfield. They won the midfield battle. And in football, if you control the midfield, you essentially control the game. And that is how Spain won yesterday against France, which have been beating teams left, right, center. Mbappe scoring left, right, center. I think that Spain did an amazing job. And it was down to that midfield that they won. Fabian Ruiz and Rodri. Yeah.
Well, all right. I always say that, in football, just do the basics. Don't
Yeah.
overthink. Do the basic things. Spain have shared a philosophy that runs through their youth ranks from the age of 9. Players are taught to share football like they share their bread. Don't be stingy with it. Pass the ball. Move into space. Pass it. That was the basic thing they did. And let's not forget, they have a manager who's been consistent from the under-19s to the under-21s and now to the senior national team. He's gone through the ranks with these players and he's built them into warriors. Coming into this World Cup, nobody ever thought Spain were just going to, be brutal like this. But I know we are going to go into Spain's team when we get into that final build-up. But I think what did not work for France was all because Didier Deschamps failed to appreciate the deficiencies in his team as compared to what Spain had. He forgot that he did not have a very good controller. And for me, Kweku was talking about Rabiot being a controller, but when you talk about some of the best controllers that we've seen in world football now, Manu Kone for AS Roma runs the show. And even for France, he had done a decent job with Rabiot. So how do you go into the next game and you play a player who is struggling with fitness and gave a very poor account of himself the entire season in Aurelien Tchouameni to start the game? Now, in the opening 45 minutes, you will clearly see France were virtually watched. So what do you do now? You have Warren Zaïre-Emery. And after the second goal, just like 2022 it happened, he decided to go route one football, brought on Thuram, brought on Kolomwani, and brought on Coman to be sending in crosses. Why didn't he go the same way? Because Spain's defense was virtually not troubled. You have Mateta on the bench.
You
Bring
can only
him
do
on.
that. You can only do that when you have the ball. He didn't have the ball.
No. When you don't have the ball, listen, when you don't have the ball and you decide, when you get the only chance you get, you need to fly the ball high up into your opponent's area.
Mangana, what was the possession statistics? Tell me, what do you think the possession statistics was?
Well, I think the possession statistics was. I don't know what the possession statistics was.
But you keep saying they didn't have the ball. No. It was literally 50-50.
They didn't have the ball in areas.
It was literally 50-50.
Yes, but they didn't have the ball in areas that was going to hurt Spain.
They actually did. They lacked the final pass. They did. They actually had enough of the ball to be able to do something, but they couldn't, first of all, pick up the final pass, or they couldn't control. I think that's what they lacked. Like,
So
I don't know. I think the system
Spanish
won.
team.
The Spanish, at the end of the day, the system won over the swashbuckling bravado of Didier Deschamps.
If you've seen France perform very well against Spain, go back to all the games. Spain have always had the players who would control the game. But go back to when they beat Spain in 2006. It was because they had very good ball carriers in Patrick Vieira and Zinedine Zidane. The last time Paul Pogba played for France in that Spain game, he made a mess of the entire midfield because he is a very good controller. All they needed was, just Kweku said, someone to help them control the game. And the loss of Saliba also gave the team away, because if you don't have a controller, William Saliba is your best progressor of the ball. Now, Upamecano and then Maxence Lacroix were just virtually unwatched. But that is it there.